Hello and welcome to Consumer Watchdog. Good morning. This is where we take a closer look at issues that affect you as a consumer. We dissect your right and explore how to stay protected in today's marketplace. And from product safety to financial practices, we are here to make sure you know what is fair, what is legal, and what you can do if things go wrong. Today we're discussing a topic that affects thousands of Nigerians. We're talking about unfair debt collection practice, and these practices happen when creditors or debt collectors use aggressive or deceptive alongside abusive tactics to recover debt. This could include harassment, intimidation, or even sharing your personal debt information with neighbors, landlords, or other third parties without your consent. So it's not just stressful, it can seriously damage your reputation. And Nigeria's law exists to protect consumers from such practices. And the Fair Credit Reporting Act and guidelines from the Central Bank of Nigeria define what debt collectors can and cannot do. If you experience harassment or unfair treatment, you have options. You can report to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission or seek legal help to defend your right. And to illustrate this, let's take a look at a real-life example. A consumer shared a story via X about a debt of 145,000 naira owed to CDK NG. Even after paying the debt, they claimed the company harassed them at home, disclosed their debt to neighbors, their landlord, and even cleaning staff, and exposed personal data like their NIN. They stressed that paying off the debt didn't undo the harm to their reputation, and the consumer is pursuing the matter further with journalists and witnesses ready to support their claims. This is something that we need to talk, because I'm very sure this consumer that lodged that complaint via X is not the only one passing through this. There are thousands, millions of Nigerians undergoing a scenario like this. And to help us understand the legal side of this conversation, we have Kelechukwu Uzoka. He's a legal practitioner and a tech law expert, and also a partner at K&C Partners and secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association of Lagos State Branch. He will join us on the conversation this morning, and he will help us break down how Nigerian law handles unfair debt collection with the consumer right and the options available for those affected. Good morning, Barrister Kelechukwu.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah,
It's so
welcome
nice
to
to
the
have you on the
program.
program.
Same here, same here. My pleasure.
Kedu.
Oduma,
All right, I needed to go
Oduma,
that
that's good.
route to hear from you. Let's start the conversation about this consumer that went to X to lodge complaint. Can CDK NG be held liable for damages to the consumer's reputation, and what factors would influence the liability? I think we can start the conversation from there.
So the very short answer is yes. The company CDK, they can be held liable, for the liability. So, but different layers. They can come under the thought of defamation. It can also come under also maybe you want to go the route of the Cybercrime Act too. And some states too have still criminalized defamation. In Lagos State, defamation is no longer criminalized. So you can go under this because publishing false statements is to third party, especially when it tends to lower a person's image, to the public. It's defamation. So CDK, what their agents have done can go. The person has a right under this thought of defamation against the company and CDK.
Mm. Barrister, we need to talk about this conversation, and I'm glad we are having it right now, because a lot of Nigerians, I can even say millions of Nigerians, are facing this kind of issue right now as we talk. Harassment, the humiliation and everything. So did CDK Nigeria violate Nigeria's data protection law, like the NDPR 2019, by exposing the consumer's personal and debt information to the public?
Yeah, so under the Nigerian Data Protection Act 2023, I think it was signed into law. I think that was one of among the first legislations that this current administration signed into law. It establishes the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, which is the enforcement authority for this. And with what CDK have allegedly done, is sharing the consumers' death info to third parties, as the landlord, the neighbors, the cleaners, the cleaning staff. It constitutes, to me, it constitutes unauthorized disclosure of this personal data to third parties. It's in direct violation of the Act. You can check Section 39 of the NDPA. It's in direct violation of Section 39 NDPA, which mandates data controllers to implement appropriate technical and organizational safeguards to protect personal data for unauthorized use and unauthorized disclosures. So going outside to disclose someone's debt to third parties or unrelated third parties who are not involved in this contract or in this debt, I think it goes further to show unauthorized disclosure. And I think, like what you said, I think some sensitive data like the NIN also was also disclosed. So if sensitive data like NIN or BVN was disclosed to third parties, it carries even graver consequences under the NDP. And if liable, if CDK is liable, if they are found liable under the law, they can be fined or penalized to the tune of 10 million naira of their gross annual gross revenue, company revenue. And then there's also this last. I want to put this here. So for consumers, there's also what we call the digital. It's called Dion lending regulation. It came into force last year, September. It's the digital online non-traditional consumer lending regulations, and it's one of the regulations that was put in place to checkmate what this short-time lenders, money lenders do, or these companies who give you product and you pay you over time. It was made pursuant to Section 17, 18, I think, and 163 of the Federal Competition Consumer Protection Act of 2018. And this regulation prohibits these digital lenders from abusive loan recovery tactics, which include harassment, public shaming, defamation, embarrassment, which in this case and from the scenario that was given here has been done. So these digital lending platforms, they are subject to these regulations. So I think we consumers also need to read more and expose themselves to some of this so they will know their rights.
Barrister, when issues like this happen, what remedies or compensation might the consumer be entitled to considering the debt has been paid?
The remedies, you can go to court. You can go to court. There are civil remedies. Even in there are several remedies. You can go and claim general damages or aggravated or exemplary damages. Also get injunction against these digital lenders, to restrain, to stop them from the harassment and also further publications. And most times you can also require public apology. But yes, public apology. But when these things happen, first thing first is to go to the FCCPC, the Federal Competition Consumer Protection Council. You go to them and make your report, and they will, within 24 to 48 hours after making your report, definitely you're going to get a response. And if you also think your data has been breached, as in this case, you can also report to the Nigerian Data Protection Commission too. You can report to them, and if they find merits in your case, they will sanction the appropriate data controller, which in this case is a CDK, because before you work or use people's data, there are certain things that needs to be done. There are certain measures that need to be put in place, and you must also be registered as a data controller under the NDPC. when you register. So there are certain ways you should use and shouldn't use people's data. Also, there's also the criminal prosecution angle. I've talked about it. Some states still criminalizes defamation, which also in this case it happens when you go to say false things about someone or say things that diminish the person in the eyes of third party or the public. So you can go through that route, also go through the Crime Act, Section 24 of the Act relates a lot of offenses that include cyberbullying, cyber stalking, and also trying to harass or menace someone's character through the use of electronic means. Because I believe that these companies would also use through SMSs, WhatsApp chats, and also calls to harass these will I call them debtors at this point.
Barrister, I'm glad you made mention of consumers that they can go to court, because that is such an eye-opener to consumers. Because when it comes to issues like this, most consumers are just always swept under the carpet. They don't know the next line of action to carry out. And I'm so glad you also made mention of consumers have the right to go to FCCPC or NCC. But let's seek your knowledge about this angle. What regulatory bodies like FCCPC or NCC could investigate, and what enforcement actions might they take aside from FCCPC or NCC?
So I've talked about the FCCPC, which is the lead regulator for this digital
Money
lending
lending.
companies. Yes, the FCCPC is the digital regulator. So they are like the primary authority in matters like this. And then the punishment sometimes or the fines from 10 million to 100 million, a percentage of the annual turnover of the company. They can even revoke a license of the defaulting company or tell the Google or Apple Store to take these applications down from their platform and for them not to operate in Nigeria. So these are some of the sanctions that the FCCP can dish out to defaulting companies. And also the Nigerian Data Protection Commission, I've also talked about them. If you feel that your data has been mismanaged or has been used in the way it wasn't agreed that it should be used, you can report to them. And there will be penalties for these data controllers, because these companies are also data controllers. Because at the point of lending, you're giving them access to some of your, and there are ways that they should be able to use this data. They can't use it in the way that they feel. As data controllers, they are mandated under the NDPA to use this data in a certain way. So if they fail to implement this data governance structure in the way that they handle your data, then they will fall foul of the law, and the law will take its course. The NDPC can come in and then sanction them properly. And if another institution or agency of the government that can come into place here is the Central Bank of Nigeria. But this all depends on the license. If they're operating a financial license, that means they are regulated by the CBN. So the CBN Consumer Protection Council would come. You can write to them. So they will fall under the CBN Consumer Protection Regulation. So it would apply here. Then you can go through the police, or you can go through EFCC, the ICPC, depending about it relating to the cyber crime or the criminal angle of the offense.
It's so sad that situations like this is still happening, despite the fact that there are consumers rule that when it comes to issues like this, harassment, public humiliation, all this stuff should not happen. But in cases like this, barrister, it happens that when this case happened, a lot of these companies, just like CDK, the money lenders that we mentioned earlier on, are always involving the third parties. I've been in this show. There was a cousin of mine too that had issues with them. They started calling me, calling all other family members. So it's so embarrassing. So how might this case influence the debt recovery practice in Nigeria, especially regarding the communication with debtors and third parties?
So I think that was last year during the when I think that was during the launching of the Dion regulation. That's the digital, electronic, and online and non-traditional lending consumers regulation in 2025. I think that was the vice chair of the FCCPC. In one of his comments, during the launching, he said that consumers, especially Nigerians, we've endured harassment, of these breaches and unethical conduct by these unregulated digital licenses. So these regulations, the Dion regulations, it's a welcome innovation. It has come to protect the rights and dignity of consumers, because at this point, the debtors are called consumers. That's come to protect their rights. Also, this case in question, if and when it succeeds, either through the courts or through the FCCP, I think the outcome is going to create a ripple effect, a chilling effect on every digital licensing and lending company operating in Nigeria. Most creditors, most of these institutions will now be forced to revise their debt recovery playbook and protocol. Some of these home visits, harassments in business areas and locations of their customers, they would reduce it, including contacting third parties who are not even involved in this in the transactions. Because, and I want to give you this example. I've had a situation where I got a message on WhatsApp. Someone's picture was sent to me. Do you know this person? I want to put the name. Do you know this person? This person has killed someone, and this person is running away from the law. You know how we can use to contact him. Please contact this one. And I was like, kill someone. It was only for me to investigate further. And I discovered that it was one of the tactics that this digital money lenders, one of the tricks. So when you now call the number and you now give them more information, maybe they're trying to get the person and they couldn't get the person. You now maybe fall prey and give them more information, or try to associate yourself from maybe a friend who is owing maybe 50, 100,000 naira. So you can. So these are some of the situations that if and when this case succeeds, most of these tactics, we won't see them again. And this Dion regulation, it's very, very important. And I encourage our consumers to go and read it. You must have to go and read this. It requires all digital money lenders to resolve when a customer complains to them. I don't like the way you're using my data. I don't like the way you're harassing me. I know that I'm owing. When you bring this complaint to them, within 24 to 48 hours, they should be able to redress it immediately. And if not redressed, you go to the FCCP. The FCCP is one of the easiest. They have a very, very good, robust consumer redress mechanisms. So consumers should take cognizance of it and also use it whenever these financial institutions or digital money lenders are coming after them. But it's not to say that you would go and borrow and then want to hide. No, it must show that you're making efforts to repay and you're doing everything possible to repay the loan being owed. After all, you know that if you're owing, if you're owing and you don't pay within a certain period, you might be blacklisted from further receiving loans or access to finance from financial companies. So I don't see why somebody want to owe. So don't even go and borrow and want to owe and then hide under the law or hide under most of these regulations. It might not be favorable to you. So you borrow, you pay, and you can have access to finance in case you need it for emergencies or in the future.
Barrister, I would pick it from where you stopped. I know you've said a whole lot of things, and you laid emphasis on consumers to know their rights, to read about their rights when it comes to, debt management, the harassment, and everything. But the main idea behind this program is to brief consumers about, to make consumers know about their rights. So please, can you run us through briefly how can consumers protect themselves against embarrassment or intimidation?
First thing I would always tell people, get a lawyer. When you think you're facing harassment from debt collectors, speak to a lawyer, speak to a legal practitioner. There are also a lot of legal protection available to Nigerian consumers in this instance. There's a constitution there because Section 37 of the Constitution speaks on the right to privacy, the rights to, of your home, your correspondences and communication. So when the agents from these companies arrive or try to harass you or try to disclose your private financial affairs with your neighbors or third parties, they've indirectly committed an infringement on this constitutional provision. There is nothing that the law or the courts frown than the breach of a constitutional provision, because the constitution is like the foundation, the groundwork on which all other laws stand. So there's also the FCCPA 2018, that's the Federal Competition and Consumers Protection, which prohibits on misleading and deceptive marketing or market conduct, which involve going to home offices to humiliate your debtors, or trying to explore other means. And the FCCP, they can take this enforcement action independently of any civil claim that you've even so you can go to FCCPC and also at the same time pursue the matter in court. Then the Dion regulation is under the FCC. We have spoken about it before. Then the Cybercrime Act. When you feel that harassment has been done to you, you can get the police and sue. Get the police and institute a criminal action against the company. Definitely, depending on how strong your case is and the evidence. So, which definitely you need to prepare well. Now, see if you're going to have victory.
Barrister Kelechukwu Uzoka, we still have one or two angles to touch, but let's go on a short break. If you're just joining us, this is Consumer Watchdog, where we inform consumers about their right. We're having a conversation about unfair debt collection practices in Nigeria, which has, of course, become a thorn in the flesh of consumers, worrying thousands of consumers right there. Thank you for still staying with us. We'll be right back. It's still Consumer Watchdog on ConsumerHallaTV.
Hey there, do you know in the world today, everyone is a consumer, and as consumers, we all have the right to be heard.
In Nigeria today, as a consumer, you have all right to product information, right to fair pricing, right to return goods, right to product labeling, right to fair dealings, and a lot more.
Well then, have you heard about the new media channel?
ConsumerHallaTV.
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 At ConsumerHallaTV, our goal is to inform and educate consumers in Nigeria with insightful news alongside development within the fast-paced world of consumers through well-researched, specialized, and analytical content.
Our vision at Consumer
Welcome back, and thank you for still staying with us. If you're just joining us, of course, you're not too late. We're having a conversation about unfair debt collection practices in Nigeria, and this is Consumer Watchdog on ConsumerHallaTV, a TV platform that advocates for consumer rights. And on the conversation we're having, Barrister Kelechukwu Uzoka is giving us a proper insight about unfair debt collection practices in Nigeria. And now let me turn over to Barrister Kelechukwu. How important are the witness statement and documentation gathered by the consumer in building a case surrounding this issue?
Earlier in the program, I've made a little hint on it.
Hello, Barrister, there with us. Hello, Barrister, can you hear me? All right. Yes, the network is doing its course right there, and we hope Barrister Kelechukwu Uzoka join us very soon on the conversation. It is Consumer Watchdog, and we are having a audited conversation because this issue has become a thorn in consumer flesh. You see a whole lot of things happening. Most times you see most consumers coming out, you see messages, a whole lot of messages, and a lot of consumers are complaining about the unfair debt collection practice in Nigeria, how consumers are being maltreated about this. And we won't stop until this organization, until this company starts, prioritizing the health and the mental health of consumer first. And that is why we are taking this angle. We're having this conversation and seeing it from a legal perspective. And we have our barrister join us on this conversation. And we hope you join us soon. Stay with us. Let's go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Hi people, my name is Mo Fakorede and I am a filmmaker and a film director, and you're watching ConsumerHallaTV. ConsumerHallaTV is everything consumer advocacy, consumer rights, everything that has to do with consumers. On this TV, you'll watch, you'll learn, you'll be educated, you'll be entertained. Keep watching ConsumerHallaTV.
My name is Olubukola Ozone, a photographer and a social media enthusiast. You're watching ConsumerHallaTV. It's a consumer advocacy TV. If you have a problem, any consumer related problem, just holla at them, just like their name implies, and they're going to get it sorted for you. Keep watching, stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, my name is Joba Jalabi. I'm a marketing communications professional. I currently lead marketing at Flash Change, a fintech startup. Keep watching ConsumerHallaTV, a consumer advocacy channel.
Hello, my name is Sharon Rotimi. I'm an actor and I am on ConsumerHallaTV. Now, ConsumerHallaTV is a consumer advocacy channel. So if you have any issues, consumer-related issues with brands and services, you can reach out to them and they'll be sure to handle it or to cater to you. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, my name is Iyebiye Adeton. I'm a film poster designer and illustrator. This is ConsumerHallaTV. It's a consumer advocacy channel. We show content on consumers-based news, entertainment, and all of that. So I urge you guys to stay tuned to ConsumerHallaTV.
My name is Anoluwapo Alao, a sales consultant for Star Times Nigeria. This is a ConsumerHallaTV, where they discuss anything consumer needs, and you get knowledge about anything about consumer. So keep watching it.
Hi, my name is Adebola Ogushino. I'm a filmmaker and you're watching ConsumerHallaTV. Any consumer related issues, they've got you.
Hi, my name is Stephen Olorunshisi. I'm a strategy and sales professional currently working with Obey, and you're watching ConsumerHallaTV. I mean, this is one of the channels that you don't want to but stay on. Consumer advocacy, brand promotion, everything consumer, what you need to learn for your business to grow. This is a channel where you learn, where you experience entertainment to, but it's good for businesses, for brands, and for an entrepreneur. If you want to know more about businesses, want to know more about brands, please stay watching. All right, thank you so much, ConsumerHallaTV. Keep watching.
Hello everyone, my name is Olanite Abidemi Additional. I'm the lead principal partner at Holland Tech, and I'm a core artificial intelligence researcher. So I will advise everyone out there to remember that the only thing constant is
Thank you for still staying with us. Welcome back from that short break. And now over to you, Barrister Kelechukwu. Barrister,
Yes,
we're having a conversation, and the network, that did its stuff right there. And did you get a question, or I should take that lines again?
Take it again. So I start from
the top. All right, Barrister. How important are the witness statement and documentation gathered by the consumer in building a case surrounding stuff like this?
Now, I can't overstate how critical evidence is in these matters or matters like this. A consumer's rights case with witnesses and documentation is very, very strong than the one without any. And here is why. In matters like this, the burden of proof, especially in civil cases, rests, or consumer protection cases, it rests with the claimant or the consumer here who makes the report. To prove in defamation, to prove the publication or defamation of character, you must prove defamation, and you must prove that you're the person being referred to. There must be testimony from third parties, witnesses, your neighbors, or passerby, or people from the public, to show that, when they saw this statement or when they saw this harassment against you, this was how they felt, showing that it mean your person. Without it, the company, for example, in this case, CDK might say, nothing happened. So you must make sure that you have witness statements, you must have witnesses who will be willing to testify, as to what you were subjected to, or the way that they saw the whole thing. If there are written communications between the consumer and CDK in this instance, in terms of WhatsApp messages, SMSs, or letters, or even any written, like the example I gave earlier, written communication like that one, where you're telling someone you will die or somebody has died, or you have to gather all these things. These form part of the evidence. If there are receipts and payments, records showing that this debt has been fully settled or is being settled, as and when due, you would have to bring it in also. Recordings of the agents who call to harass you. They are, if it's possible, get the phone number, the call recording, the name of these agents. If there are screenshots, if there are emails, this also form part of your evidence. And if there are photographs and videos, you also bring them. It form part of your evidence and makes your case very, very strong. Also, under the NDPA 2023, you can also request from any data controller your personal data. Any data controller who has your personal data, you can also request your data from this data controller and ask on how this data was used, how was it processed, who was it shared with. It's called a subject access request. And if you're denied this request, it makes your case very strong. Your case becomes very, very powerful, because any data processor or controller is obligated, whenever the data subject asks for this data, to give that data to the data subject. So these are some of the ways where to get this the documentations and also the witnesses, trying to prepare yourself, going to the regulator or the courts. These are some of the things that you need to gather.
Barrister, it's so worrisome that despite the fact that the FCCPC and the other bodies, has to do with consumer rights have, map out the law that consumers should not be harassed, situations like this is still happening. So what could happen to CDK Nigeria Limited and other organizations doing such scenario if found liable? And how might this, affect their operation, not limited to CDK alone? Because we know that there are some other organizations doing the same thing to consumers out there as we speak.
So we're talking about what will happen to them if found liable for this unfair debt collection practice, right? And also how it will impact their businesses. So exposures, things like this bring the company into exposure on different fronts. And most times the impact, depending on how it is or how it's assessed, it might lead to the company to shut down or to wind up. Let me just walk you through some of the outcomes. There's a civil court outcome where the courts would award substantial damages or aggravated or exemplary damages. You can also get injunction preventing any further harassment or disclosure or communication about the consumer or debtors affair. You can also order for public apology and also payment of the litigation costs. If it furthers this, when you go to court, these are the things that the court can award you at this point. But if it goes to the FCCP, they have very, very wide powers. They have very, very wide powers. And you might see them fining the company up to 100 million, from 10 million to 100 million, or a percentage of their annual, the annual turnover of the company. So there might be suspension or revocation of the operating approval, the listing from the app stores, the listing from app stores, whether Google Play Store or the Apple Store. They might disqualify some of their directors for up to 5 years. And then if it goes under the NEPC, where the agency that controls the data protection, there might be fines also, ranging from in the millions, 5 million, 10 millions, and all up to a percentage of their annual turnover. The CBN also, if applicable, if it's a financial institution being regulated directly by the CBN, there might be licensing sanction. There might be withdrawal of your license to operate a financial institution. If you go through the criminal route for the states that still have the defamation law under their laws that still criminalizes defamation, there might be punishment. There might be conviction of up to 2 years or more. The Cyber Crime Act under Section 24, there are a lot of punishments from imprisonment to fines that might be handed over to these companies or persons found wanted. And this would affect the reputational and commercial impact of the companies. So here we're talking about, especially in this period where every company is digital. So imagine bringing out that kind of story against your company. Your company people might not want to deal with your company again. So there will be reputational and commercial impact too.
All right, Barrister, there's still a whole lot to be said on this conversation, but accurately, you've done well. You've laid a a strong foundation on this conversation, and I can tell you that Barrister Dalu Imela, thank you for your time on this conversation. And I
thank you very much.
I still want to see more. I hope to see more of you on this conversation, because I personally enjoyed your insights.
Thank you very much for having me on ConsumerHallaTV today and for educating consumers on their rights. I believe that our listeners and the audience out there, they've picked a lot on how to deal with issues like this. But they should remember, I'm not saying go and take money and don't pay. No. But you have a right. You have a right to dignity of your person. You have a right to privacy of your person. So you should know what works for you, and you should be careful out there. So even if a debt, you know that most times debt might put people in, difficult position, but it doesn't strip you of your rights.
All right, Mila, thank you, Barrister Kelechukwu Uzoka. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you.
And do well to enjoy the rest of your day. Barrister Kelechukwu Uzoka right there is a legal practitioner and also a tech law expert. He made a whole lot of conversation about the topic of unfair debt collection practices in Nigeria. That was a awesome analysis. And this case, I liked why it is very crucial to know your right as a consumer. You know, I'm always saying it, and it gives me joy personally when I know that consumers know their right. You know, paying off a debt doesn't mean you have to endure harassment or have your personal information misused. So please know your right. Always document any unfair treatment, just like what the barrister said earlier on the conversation. Report violations to authorities and seek legal guidance when needed. Thank you, Nigeria, for joining us on Consumer Watchdog. Stay informed, protect your right, and stay safe. I am Ire Ayo Mikole Eke. Follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us on this program.